stupid gold ring. Stupid little girl, will make you praise his soul. Little girl, will make you praise his soul. This make a praise and that make a praise and this make a praise his soul. This make a praise and that make a praise and this make a praise his soul. Little girl, will make you praise his soul. Little girl, will make you praise his soul.
Today, I'd like to talk about the harm and disastrous impact the current Vice President of Guyana, Jagdeo, has brought upon the people of Guyana. Everything he has done has been for his own benefit, never thinking about the well-being of the people or taking any action to improve their lives. Instead of helping the common people live a decent life, he has abused his power from 1999 to 2024 to embezzle at least billions of dollars of public funds, possibly even more. The ordinary people have suffered from unfair treatment and a disastrous quality of life because of him. He's a truly corrupt and evil person, using his special status to commit countless harmful acts against Guyana, all for his own gain. He even has a massive fortune in China, worth billions of dollars, all taken from the people's wealth. Today, I hope everyone becomes aware of his corruption. Let's come together, unite, and help the people of Guyana start a new chapter for a better future.
今天想跟大家一起了解现在的圭亚那副总统巴拉特贾格迪奥所对圭亚那人民带来的伤害跟灾难性的造成。他所做的一切都是为了自己的利益，从来没有为圭亚那百姓着想，或者做出任何能让百姓生活变得更好的事，让平民百姓过上应该有的生活。他凭着自己执政的权力，从1999到2024贪污至少数十亿美金或更多百姓的财产。他让平民百姓受到了非常不公平的待遇跟灾难性的生活。他是个非常邪恶的人，用着自己的特别身份做着对圭亚那无数伤害的事件，只为了自己的利益。他在中国还有一笔巨额全额高达数十亿美元，都来自于百姓的财产。今天希望大家都能看到或听到他的腐败的一面，让我们一起团结一心，让圭亚那的人民重新开始美好的未来。
今天想跟大家一起了解现在的圭亚那副总统巴拉特贾格迪奥所对圭亚那人民带来的伤害跟灾难性的造成。他所做的一切都是为了自己的利益，从来没有为圭亚那百姓着想，或者做出任何能让百姓生活变得更好的事，让平民百姓过上应该有的生活。他凭着自己执政的权力，从1999到2024贪污至少数十亿美金或更多百姓的财产。他让平民百姓受到了非常不公平的待遇跟灾难性的生活。他是个非常邪恶的人，用着自己的特别身份做着对圭亚那无数伤害的事件，只为了自己的利益。他在中国还有一笔巨额全额高达数十亿美元，都来自于百姓的财产。今天希望大家都能看到或听到他的腐败的一面，让我们一起团结一心，让圭亚那的人民重新开始美好的未来。
All right. Hey, guess what? My name is Mark Benchap, and welcome to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. Lots of things, and Jagdeo, he wants to wiggle out of things. He wants to pretend as though he's an honest man. He wants to pretend as though he's a good leader, so-called leader. He's a bleeder, has been a bleeder of Guyana, has been an oppressor of Guyana, has been a man who oppressed majority of the people in the country, has been somebody who basically gone after individuals to persecute them. Under his administration, scores of persons were killed, were wrongfully incarcerated, and all manner of things. And this is a man who wants to set himself up as though, with a shirt and a tie, pretending as though he's an angel. This is a guy who sits down and wants other governments and other people to fight his battle in Guyana Guyana for him. This is a man who is now attempting to use the judicial system of the United States of America to prop up his illegal, his corrupt regime, a regime that has been installed and a regime that could possibly next elections be uninstalled. He is way too corrupt. You heard the Chinese nationals are talking about that big bank account that he supposedly has in China, and talking about how the people of Guyana are being punished and are starving every single day. Now, we have lots more to talk about. Our operator, Lemon, slash executive producer, will be getting in touch with Tom, who was on with us just about 30 seconds ago. We saw him, but we want Tom to come back to deal specifically on Jagdeo, is signaling his intention to say to the incoming U.S. government, Trump administration, that, hey, we got some bad guys in the United States of America. And for Jagdeo, bad guys mean people who basically expose him, expose his corruption. And he is running scared. He is basically saying to Trump, oh, he loves Trump. And Trump, we had a good relationship with you. He probably should have had a good relationship with Vashni. But then again, that's another story. I'm not here for that, mind you. And I don't know why I'm being so mischievous tonight. And so he's sitting there at his so-called press call. Oh, we had a good relationship with Trump. And we love Trump and all manner of things. That is what he's doing. Somebody said Lemon has been promoted. No, that's a slip of my tongue. He's not no executive producer. He's still a flat-foot operator. Simple as that. But Tom is going to be with us. I want to ask Tom a couple of questions because what Jagdeo is doing, and I repeat, what Jagdeo is doing is basically saying to the U.S. administration that we got some people in the U.S. that we want you guys to help us, and if possibly, so that those individuals can be killed. That is what this is all about. Jagdeo wants to set people up to be killed. And you know, Jagdeo is notorious when it comes to setting people up, and in the process, people were slaughtered. And that is what this is all about, guys. This is not anything, this has nothing to do with people and violating any rules, any laws or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. Jagdeo basically wants people to be killed. And he wants the U.S., the incoming Trump administration, to do his dirty bidding. An individual who is set to be as corrupt as he is, Bharat Jagdeo, wants Trump administration to do his dirty work for him. And now doing that sort of thing in the United States of America obviously is different. And so Jagdeo has to be extremely careful with what he asks for, because the table may very well turn on him. And once the table is turned on him, cat eat his dinner. Speaking of cat eat his dinner, where is Lemon? Because we need Tom Anderson with us. Let me just, before Tom comes on, Tom could have been doing anything else. Get a deal at the university, probably about to write a book, a nice book, and because he's known for bringing down powerful politicians in the United States of America. And so Tom is not afraid of them. We are not afraid of them either. So Jagdeo could take his threat and you know what I was about to say, Tom, but because Tom is here, I'm going to be a nice, decent guy. I'm not going to be naughty. Good night to you, Tom. How are you, sir?
Hey, good night. Good night. Great. How's everyone tonight?
The folks, I'm sure they're doing great. And people are saying, Mark, why don't you get off the show one night and let Tom run the show? Let Tom just take over the show. Everybody's been requesting Tom, we like Tom. I'm like, what about me? I've been existing for all those years, but everything is Tom now. And I agree with you guys. Tom has been a friend of Guyana. He's been a friend of all of us here at 107.1 FM. But what you guys got to do, you got to go on Tom's website as well and read his articles. Read his articles. Read it, guys. Tom, What's going on? And are you prepared for January 20th? 1 minute after midday. 1 minute after midday, the Trump administration kicks in. What's happening? Are you preparing for that?
Well, I mean, I'm always prepared, but it doesn't really matter who's in the White House when it comes to, if you're an American and you're doing what you need to do. It really doesn't matter who's in the White House at the end of the day, because our system is so complicated. There's so many levels to it. Most average Americans are not going to feel an impact when the White House changes from one person to another. I know everyone makes it seem like it's different than that. I know it seems like everyone's on pins and needles, but even when it comes to stuff like what's happening in Ukraine, if you really look at that situation, Joe Biden has basically not, he's helped them and he's provided them weapons, but the Ukraine people and their leadership have been asking for missiles that can reach into the heart of Russia. They've been asking for all types of things, and they got slow walked and held back. And so they really didn't have a guy who was all in for them in Biden. They really didn't. And so Trump comes in and he's not with them all in either. But at the end of the day, we as a nation, that's where we're at. So Joe Biden did the best he could, but ultimately we did as a nation what was acceptable for our people, because we can't be all over the place and be the police and put our own boots on the ground and get involved in. We can't go that far. And so Biden knew that. Trump's coming in is going to be almost the same situation, slightly different. Everyone seems like everyone's saying it's going to be much different. It will not be. And so that's how we are. I mean, that's how America is. Yeah, inauguration is going to come. Yes, a different administration, but for us Americans, it's pretty much the same. Now, it's different for people outside of America, and that's what I've been trying to say for the longest. So all of these guys who were PPP supporters, who I was basically talking to them when I was warning them, hey, a Trump administration may not be good for you guys. I was saying this, and the reason why I was saying it is because a Trump administration to the outside world is going to be a lot tougher to deal with if you're on the outside than dealing with the Biden administration, because the Biden administration had people in there who believe that they can bring the good out of people, and they believe they can work with people. Even guys like Jagdeo, they look at him and go, oh, we can work with that guy, right? Trump people are not like that. The Trump people are going to look at the file on Jagdeo. The first thing they're going to see is he had a Chinese guy as a roommate, and that Chinese guy had like half of the country's rights of timber. So half of the timber in a nation, half of the timber in a nation full of jungle, half of it was going to a Chinese guy who was the roommate of Jagdeo. I'm sorry. And how do we know this? This isn't from some secret CIA file. This was because of reporting. One reporter asked him straight up, what about this guy, this Chinese guy? And he admitted on camera, oh, he's my roommate. Now, I'm sorry, but look at Jagdeo. Look at his age. What man that age has a roommate of a Chinese guy who's got half the country's timber? How does that work? So that's the first thing they're going to see. Now, they have other things about Jagdeo that no one else knows about. They have CIA wiretaps. They have informants. They have all types of information about him. So they're going to look at the file and they're going to know, wait a minute, isn't it the case that the PPP, they have financial ties to people who have been involved with the Iranians, with international terrorism? We know this. This is in the file. We know this is public documents, okay? But imagine what are in the files. They just got hit with sanctions for smuggling gold. So all of this is in there. If Jagdeo believes that he's going to come to this new administration and they're going to just say, oh, yeah, we just like you, buddy. You can do whatever you want. And we'll do whatever we want for you. This is not the same deal. The Biden people, they were probably very helpful and very nice, and we're probably trying to bring the best out of Jagdeo. That is not what the Trump people are going to do. They're going to wonder, is he corrupt with the Chinese? Because who else would have a Chinese guy as a roommate who has all that timber right? What's going on there? They're going to wonder. And what answers will he have? And so ultimately, if he thinks he's going to get the new administration to do whatever he wants and to hurt Americans, to go after dissidents who are just speaking the truth in the United States, if he thinks that he can make that happen, he has to think about what's in the file on him. And he has to think about the fact that the Trump administration, they're not going to be nice guys. They're like with Americans. Oh, they're very nice with us because we're Americans. But for the people on the outside, they are not going to be nice at all to him. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. Trump just had a campaign event where he spoke about Puerto Ricans. Now, these are Americans, where he didn't speak about it, but he had a comedian up at his event calling all Puerto Ricans trash, garbage. Okay. And he didn't disavow the guy afterwards. He said, I don't even know the guy, is what he said. So if Trump is like that with Americans and the people around him are like that with Americans, do you think he's going to be a nice guy with Jagdeo and these guys? Do you think his administration is just going to just lay down? It's not like that. I mean, I'm sorry. They're going to come in for a rude awakening. These Trump guys don't play games. I'm sorry. And this is what the American people voted for. They voted for an administration to stop playing games with people like thugs and corrupt people like this. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you so much for letting us know. This is Sue. And Sue happens to be, or he was a tenant. We're not sure whether he's still a tenant in one of Jagdeo's house, right a stone throw away from where Jagdeo lives. A stone throw away from where Jagdeo lives. They weren't roommate unless there are other things that we are not aware of, but just a stone throw away. And this guy was paying Jagdeo over $10,000, maybe $20,000 US dollars a month for that property he was renting right next door to Jagdeo. We don't know whether the amount of the money was deposited in a Guyanese bank account or it was deposited in China. We just don't know. But Tom, you made reference to this earlier.
These people can be vile and
not necessarily that.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Zhirong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yeah.
Today, I'd like to talk about the harm and disastrous impact the current Vice President of Guyana, Bharat Jagdeo, has brought upon the people of Guyana. Everything he has done has been for his own benefit, never thinking about the well-being of the people or taking any action to improve their lives. Instead of helping the common people live a decent life, he has abused his power from 1999 to 2024 to embezzle at least billions of dollars of public funds, possibly even more. The ordinary people have suffered from unfair treatment and a disastrous quality of life because of him. He's a truly corrupt and evil person, using his special status to commit countless harmful acts against Guyana, all for his own gain. He even has a massive fortune in China, worth billions of dollars, all taken from the people's wealth. Today,
all taken according to information from the people's wealth. This is a man who wants to sit and to give the impression that all is well. Tom, let's go paint a picture as though he's an angel. He's not an angel. He's said to be the most corrupt individual in South America and possibly one of the most corrupt individuals around the world, with billions of dollars allegedly in a bank account in China. You mentioned the CIA may very well have lots of recordings, lots of tapes on him, maybe other law enforcement agencies in the US and other parts of the world, the UK, maybe Canada as well. Lots of information on this guy. Remember Mike Pompeo, who was CIA director, may very well have lots of information on this guy as well. Pompeo went on to become the US Secretary of State, and Jagdeo, probably think that he can hold the hands of folks like Mike Pompeo and these guys. But he's got to be careful. There might be a rude awakening for him. Let's take a listen to what he said earlier, please, Tom, and our listeners.
Pretty much aware.
Yeah, sorry, let's go back.
On behalf of the People's Progressive Party, I wish to congratulate President-elect Trump for the historic achievement that he has succeeded in achieving. He is the second U.S. president in the entire history of the United States of America who has come back to serve a non-consecutive term. And I think it's incumbent on the People's Progressive Party, but all of Guyana, to congratulate him. The United States, the people in the United States, over 72 million of them have spoken. And we have to respect their wishes. They have chosen their leader. And we are looking forward to working with his administration. We had a good working relationship with his administration the past, and we're looking forward to continuing that relationship and growing it. We believe that the United States of America is a very close partner.
All right. Apart from all of that, close partners, they already know that he's in with the Chinese. He's in bed with all these different corrupt individuals. What is your take on what he just said there? And because leaders of countries would just say they extend their congratulatory or whatever greetings to whoever is elected and so forth, and they're done with that. Do you sense that this guy is just stretching things too much and he's going overboard?
I've seen a lot of Jagdeo over the years. Let's go. I've seen video of him going back to, let's say, like 2009, 2010. Okay, 15 years worth of video I've seen of him talk. And I have seen a lot of video of him recently talk about the last administration, or the one that's still in place now, but it's changing over, okay? And I saw that body language, and the body language there was he's not happy that Trump is coming in. He's not happy at all. And he should not be happy, because I'm telling you, the people who will work in the Trump administration aren't going to play his game. They aren't going to do it. They're not going to view him as someone that, oh, he's a little rough around the edges, but, we can bring the good out of him. That's how Democrats think, man. Democrats and the Biden guys, they're always trying to make, these really bad people seem like they're okay if you give them a chance. That's not the Trump admin way, okay? They're not going to play with this guy. And you can see from his body language, he is not happy. He shouldn't be happy because, they're going to deal with this guy. I'm pretty sure, looking at that body language, this is not good for Jagdeo that Trump won. It's not good at all.
Certainly not good. I hope Jagdeo is aware of that. But there's another part that I want you to take a listen to, please, Tom, and also our listeners.
In the system. And we're looking forward to continue to debunk all the lies, particularly with the new administration that will take office in January of next year in the United States of America. And we will point out, for example, another example has been this abuse of the system by people like Burke and the others, constantly go in to the law enforcement authorities that someone wants to kill him from the government of Guyana. Now, every Guyanese knows that he is a lunatic to even suggest that nobody has any harmful desire in relation to him. But he does this routinely, make these false reports and mislead the authorities.
So basically, Tom, you heard there, he wants the incoming Trump administration to do dirty work for him, Jagdeo, especially against people who go after him and expose him in terms of his corruption and his racism and discriminatory acts in Guyana, the policies and all these things. How dangerous is this, what Jagdeo just mentioned there?
Well, I mean, I'm laughing because he's not good, pretending, he just threatened this guy. Okay. I'm sorry. That's how I see that. He just threatened a guy. And I'm sorry, but I believe that he's been threatened before. I know how the PPP operate. Okay. I've seen what they've done to people. I've seen how they've bought off politicians here in the United States. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, we all know, okay, anyone with clear eyes knows that Jagdeo and the PPP underneath him are a regime that is brutal. They do not believe in human rights. They help and foster all types of smuggling and all types of things like terrorism. And they have extensive financial networks in the United States. You can see them in Queens. You can see those networks going from Queens out to places like Chicago. It's all right there. Okay. And and our people know this. Okay. I believe that the Biden administration was trying to help these guys become less corrupt and try to bring them into the modern world of things, because you got to give them an opportunity if they've never had a chance to work in a place that doesn't have corruption. It's hard for them to know how to operate without being corrupt. And so I believe the Biden administration kind of gave them a chance, but you can see how these guys have behaved, and you can see how he's bringing this up in this press conference and kind of pegging it to their communications with our government, that he didn't learn much working with the Biden administration people. He should probably, reassess and realize that now that the Trump administration is in, if he isn't crossing every T and dotting every I, if he's not being efficient, if he's not being an upstanding government official representing his nation, that the Trump people will probably deal with what's going on there.
All right, you've heard it there, and Jagdeo obviously thinks that this time is like the long time that he could sit at his press conference and make people become scared and tremble. Oh, Trump is going in. We should be so afraid of Trump. And Jagdeo, no one is afraid of Trump. No one is afraid of you. And what you do to the people of your country, where under your administration, hundreds of people were killed. You need to answer to those things. Tons and tons of cocaine shipped out of Guyana under your leadership, Jagdeo. Those are things that you need to talk about. Don't pretend as though you can come and rattle a bunch of nonsense and believe that is going to make people afraid of you. Like Tom said, there might be lots and lots of recordings about you and your corrupt deals, Jagdeo, and being in bed with notorious killers, money launderers, all these things, phantom squad people, all these things, and the manner in which you run the Guyana police force in terms of calling the commissioner of police and instructing him what to do and what not to do, all these things. You are known to be on phone conversations with notorious killers and phantom squad individuals and death squad people. All these things, Jagdeo. So you should be the last person to talk about going after anyone. At least I'm not afraid of you. And I know thousands upon thousands of Guyanese inside Guyana and outside Guyana are not afraid of you at all. People have a right to speak. And if you want to go after individuals, what next, Tom? Is he going to say to the Chinese, cut a deal? Does he expect Trump to cut a deal with the Chinese government to go after dissidents over here? Does he expect for Trump to cut a deal with North Korea dictator to send back dissidents there, or Iranian dissidents in the US to send them back? Is that what this notorious dictator is attempting to say? This shameless criminal? Is that what he's saying, Tom?
Yeah, the things that one of the things that brought me to focus in on Guyana as an American is seeing how the PPP had connections to these Iranians who were coming over here to South America to set up shop in order to do attacks here in America and in Central and South America. And so that's a serious deal. I don't know why they think that they can just run around with those types of connections going on and those types of crazy things happening in their country without an administration like a Trump administration paying attention to that and dealing with that. I mean, that's just to protect the American people. We have to deal with problems like that. And that's the type of problem you have when you're dealing with the PPP and with Jagdeo in specific, is they have these connections to these regimes that are known to commit terror against Americans. They are enemies to America, and he is wrapped up and tied up with these people, and he has been that way for a very long time. So anytime he's going to ask an American administration for something, he's asking not just for himself, but on behalf of all these groups that he's tied up with the Iranians and all. And so our administrations know, if you deal with him and any fallout happens later, like we get a terrorist attack here and it came from Guyana, if something that happens and that administration goes down as an administration that played games with a dictatorial regime that sent terrorists to kill Americans, no American administration will allow such a thing, such a story to be told about them. And therefore, it's going to be very hard for him to deal with this administration coming in because of those connections that they have in that the historical ties they've had to people who want to do serious harm to the United States of America.
And, lots of information on Jagdeo harboring terrorists, PPP, under the PPP, harboring terrorists. You have that notorious wanted Al-Qaeda member, El Shakru. What's the name again? El Shakru. Juma, that had a Guyanese passport that was issued allegedly by a member of his government. All these things he's got to talk about, and known criminals that he's surrounded by, known criminals in the private sector, and all these different things. Tom, who is he really fooling, man? Or who he thinks he's fooling?
He's not fooling anyone. And he's probably hoping that, people will think that the world needs him to stay on top of Guyana so the oil continues to flow. But that's not the case. As a matter of fact, he brings instability with the way that he governs. He brings a lot of instability. And then you have to question, well, what is his relationship with the next door neighbor in Venezuela? He said in the past that, hey, they might want to give Venezuela some concessions, allow them to have some water territory that is currently owned by the people of Guyana. He wants to just, hey, let them have that so they can have a waterway to do this or do that. Well, those types of leanings towards being accommodating to Maduro, that's not going to be liked by this Trump administration coming in. It's not. Like, they don't want to see a situation where an oil-rich nation, a resource-rich nation like Guyana, sitting next door to Venezuela, has someone in charge who isn't that stable in how they're doing things. And on top of that, they seem like they could be friendly to a Maduro regime and maybe even allow him to have some territories, which would allow him to stay in power for a very long time, because that's what he wants. If he can get some territories like the Essequibo, some areas in there from Guyana, that will allow him to stay off longer. So I don't see this Trump administration being happy with something like that. So lots and lots of questions are going to be leveled towards him. He's going to have to come with a lot of answers for a lot of things that he's done in the past that are just shady.
Lots of things he's done in the past that are very shady, Tom. I'm sure you know exactly what you're talking about. Lots of information on him. So if he thinks that he can sit and threatens people, it's not going to work, Jagdeo. We know you're watching. It's not going to work. Tom, you mentioned this earlier, just a few moments ago. Let's listen.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area.
He's talking about making a slight concession, Tom. A slight concession? Talk to us, man. Talk to
Well,
us.
you do that with a guy like Maduro, you give him a slight concession, he's going to take the whole hog. Like if he hears that the guy next door is going to give me something, a concession to me, well, I want more. He's weak. Okay, I want everything then. That's what you're dealing with a guy like Maduro. Maduro has already threatened to take the land by force. He's already threatened to take almost all of Guyana by force. So that's what you have. And so you can't have a leader next door. You can't have this guy in charge who's been talking about, oh, let's do some concessions with a guy who's said publicly, I'm going to forcefully take most of your country. You can't. That's a no-go type of situation. So these are the types of stances and positions that Jagdeo has taken over the years, because the way he governs is like he said in that interview, that Vice interview, I want everyone to know that Guyana is open for business. That's it. Open for business. Like, he doesn't want the Guyana to be known as the most stable country in the region. He doesn't want Guyana to be known as a leader when it comes to education or medicine, civil liberties. You don't hear that. It's a business. Like Guyana's a 7-Eleven. It's just a big old gas station. Well, when you take that position and you treat your own country like it's a gas station, it's a 7-Eleven, we're just open for business, okay? And you don't take care of the people. You're constantly playing games. You're getting in partnership with people who fund terrorist operations on Americans. When you're doing that type of stuff, okay, and a Trump administration comes in and they don't play games, you're going to have some issues. So I'm going to say again, and I warned before the election, I was saying, hey, the diaspora, the people who can vote in the election in Guyana, you probably want to vote for Biden. The reason why I was saying that is because the Trump administration will not play games with these guys. And what's hilarious to me is all the PPP supporters that's who voted for Trump. And they don't know that Trump is the guy who will not play their games. It was Biden who was willing to play their games. Trump is not going to play their games. So it's just very funny to me. I warned. I said, hey, they think they love Trump. Well, we will see what happens. I'm pretty sure the Trump administration is not going to play games with this guy. He's going to have to, if he's going to stay in power, if they're going to run the country, they're going to have to clean up that act and get rid of all these allegiances to China and everywhere else if he expects to have a good relationship with the incoming Trump administration.
Well, I doubt he's going to want to. I doubt that he has what it takes to just close off the relationship he has with China. He may have to close off the bank account. It is said, mind you, that he has a bank account with about 10 to 15 billion US dollars. That is what he needs to sit and talk to the incoming Trump administration folks about. He needs to sit and talk to them about the connections with terrorist organizations and having businessmen or so-called businessmen around him with the same sort of connections, whether with the Iranian or whatever terrorist groups around the world, the money laundering, the gold smuggling. These are things Guyanese want to hear. And these are things we're expecting that they go after people like Jagdeo for and put bangles on him. And those of you who know what that is. And look, and even upon having information on Tamesh Jagmohan, Jagdeo, they have information shared by U.S. law enforcement agencies and other law enforcement agencies around the world. Tamesh Jagmohan, whom the PPP, of course, guess what? They sent Tamesh Jagmohan, according to what is it? Their delegation list to Beijing last year. This is a guy whose U.S. visa was revoked. This is a guy who's said to be linked to Hezbollah and other Iranian proxy, as we have seen recently in the news. Tom, how dangerous is that Jagdeo is connected with so-called businessmen who have links to terrorist organization? Does he believe that he could go to an incoming Trump administration having quote unquote blood on his hands like that?
Yeah, no, that's the problem with what happens in Guyana is that it's a resource rich country and there are all these business deals happening. And like Jagdeo says he wants it to be a business. He wants it to be like a big 7-Eleven. Well, they're doing business with a lot of people, but the people they're doing business with, a lot of them do anti-American things. Okay, a lot of them do really bad things. Now, Jagdeo doesn't know that, most likely, right? Because he's just doing business. But that's the problem. When you're running a country, you can't just say, let's just open it up for business and let's just do business with anybody and everybody. You have to be judicious about it. You have to be smart about it. You have to get rid of the corruption. You can't be going in and paying off U.S. politicians. Like you can't do that. Okay, this is bad stuff. And so these are the types of things that have happened under the PPP with the assistance of the PPP in the past. Things are going on now in the present. And so, yes, I've seen this guy in the recent present say that he's going to give the Biden administration a list of names of people to go after. And he said that basically he made it seem like they have connections to the IRS, that they're going to reach out to them directly to go after the list of people and stuff like that. That type of stuff, that type of relationship that he had where he could publicly say that he was giving the Biden administration a list of people that they should look into, that's not going to be the case with the Trump administration, I don't believe. I believe the Trump administration is going to be much more tight with this guy and with what's going on down there. They're going to be much more serious and no more games being played, period. So whether he wants to take heed to what I'm saying or not, I don't know. But I know the Trump administration. I know who those people are. I have worked with some of those people in the past. And I'm telling you, they're serious and they don't take crap and they don't play games. I'm just letting you know.
They don't take crap. They don't play games. And Tom, thanks for letting us know that you've worked with some of them in the Trump administration. And of course, you, of all persons, know more of them than this Paku, as we say in Guyana. Paku meaning silly guy, Bara Jagdeo, silly flatfoot guy, Bara Jagdeo. And now, of course, former CIA director Mike Pompeo, former U.S. Secretary of State, went into Guyana on two occasions. It wasn't to say to Irfan Ali. Of course, he didn't meet with Jagdeo, maybe for obvious reasons, but he didn't go into Guyana to say, hey, Irfan Ali, let's have lunch, catfish curry for lunch. It was pretty obvious. And according to reports, it may have lots to do with the Chinese and lots to do with what Irfan, they're not doing. They have messed up. Irfan Ali, they have screwed up big time. And people could very well be so upset with them right now. What is your take on the former U.S. Secretary of State going to Guyana to probably deliver a particular message to Irfan Ali? Tom?
Well, I mean, it's like I was saying before when these visits were happening. So Guyana has become a nation that is important on the international stage. It's become a nation like an Abu Dhabi almost in the Caribbean, man. I mean, it's really an amazing sight to see. And so with this emergence of Guyana on the international scene, now all of a sudden, our highest officials and former officials are going to be headed over there to speak to the Guyanese officials to let them know if they're doing something in our backyard that hurts our nation, period. Or if they're doing something in our backyard that's hurting the international order of things. Okay, yes, they will get visits and they will be told face to face not to do certain things. So we all know that China wants to get into the backyard of the United States of America. They want to be in the Caribbean and South America. They want to get at the resources without us saying a word about it. They want to create situations where nations are openly anti-American. Okay, so they groom leaders. They go after them. They pay them money. They do all types of things to try to get some enmity between the United States and these nations that are right there next door to us. And it's to their benefit for that to happen because they can go after the resources while everyone else is squabbling. Well, I think that's why Pompeo pays visits, because we are not going to allow a situation where Guyana can basically spawn anti-American activities in our own backyard. It's not going to happen. And people like Mike Pompeo are the guys who make sure that doesn't happen. And those are the reasons why he's having visits. And this is serious stuff because Guyana is now in the big league. And so all of this talk of going after people on lists from Jagdeo and working with the next administration to deal with someone who is a critic of them, it's just words, is a critic, right? These are things that when you're in the big leagues should not be happening. And it's things that so far the Biden administration has allowed Jagdeo to feel comfortable with behaving this way. I don't think he's going to be so comfortable like this with the Trump administration, in my opinion.
You know, and if you talk about Jagdeo, critics of Jagdeo have been killed in Guyana. Critics of Jagdeo have been jailed unjustly in Guyana. Critics of Jagdeo have been kidnapped and possibly murdered, but they cannot be found years after. Critics of Jagdeo have been tortured. And so Jagdeo should understand that, and when let's give an example, and Jagdeo should understand that the man who is currently the vice president-elect of the United States of America was one of the biggest critics of who? Trump. Tom? Unlike Jagdeo, how Jagdeo treats his critics. In Guyana, critics are dead, shot and killed, assassinated under Jagdeo. I don't know. It's going to be a tough few months because elections is set to be should be held by August, according to this criminal, that by next August they should have elections in Guyana. And that is what he is basically trying to play up and flirt with Trump so that he can tell Trump that he's going to do whatever Trump wants so that he can get back into office. It's a trick. And I hope Trump understands that. It is a trick. Jagdeo is as anti-American as they can come. He is more pro-China, more pro-Russia. He is anti-America. Do not be fooled. Do you share that sentiment, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, he's I have just over the years that I've viewed what's been going on with him and with the PPP, they are not when it comes to, and let's just talk about the Trump administration. I see someone making a comment that Trump is going to surround himself with bandits. Well, that's not the case. Okay. I know that the media makes it seem like Trump is just a big thief and that everyone around him are just thieves. It seems that way. I understand, but I'm telling you, within there are some people who are bad, and that's also in the Biden administration. Trust me when I tell you, there were thieves in the Biden administration too now. But let's put the thieves aside, because you will always have people like that, bad eggs. You will have that happen. In the Trump administration, you're going to have people who are very pro-American and very anti-terrorism, very anti any type of drug smuggling, any type of human trafficking. They don't play games with that stuff. They don't. Okay. Any country that's going to be dealing with sending people here with fraudulent documents, as Guyana has done over the years, this is the type of stuff that the people who come into the Trump administration, they don't play games with that. They do not. And so these are the types of things that over the years have been anti-American. The actions of the PPP and the government of Guyana, the actions have been anti-American in that they have provided safe haven to terrorists. They have provided safe haven to drug smugglers. They have provided safe haven to money launderers, gold smugglers, all types of criminals. They have allowed death squads to run through the country. This is what these guys have done. And I'm telling you, the Trump administration people coming in, those people are politically and culturally opposed to all of that type of activity. They just are. And on top of that, Guyana is now much higher on the totem pole in the world, much higher status. The world does not want a situation where you have a nation rising as high as Guyana is, led by people who are doing the types of things that Jagdeo and the PPP have done over the years. They have to clean up their act. And I'm telling you right now, think what you want about Trump and who he wants to bring in. But I promise you, because I have seen these people, I have worked with a lot of them. I know who they are. They are not people to be played with, and they take security of America very serious. And they take things like smuggling and human smuggling. They take that stuff very serious, and they oppose it to the core. And they will deal with it if it's a problem in Guyana. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you so much, Tom, for letting us know. Hopefully, Jagdeo could understand that this is the audience is not the audience that he is accustomed talking to, and as gullible as they are into thinking that Jagdeo can demand and warm himself up under the Trump administration. They may have a couple of people, maybe senators, who probably promise, "Oh, don't worry, everything will be okay." But Tom, I get what you're saying, that it's not going to be an easy road for Jagdeo. Jagdeo is known to these guys. He's known to be corrupt. He's known to have a hefty bank account in China. He's known to be more pro-Chinese. That is what he is. All of the deals, China, China, China. Half of Guyana given away to his friend, former tenant of his, probably still is a tenant. These are things that he should talk about. These are things that we will continue, whichever agency in the United States of America, and you guys in the audience will continue to spread the word, continue to have conversations with senators, with congressmen, with State Department officials. It doesn't matter, to continue to have that conversation and to speak the truth. Do not allow Jagdeo to intimidate you guys. It is not going to happen, Jagdeo. Your closing remarks, please, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, it's a different day. So I have said many things where you can see that I have issues with the PPP government and Jagdeo. But with that said, I have always left the door open for them to change their ways, because I understand the complexities and the difficulties in governing in a nation like Guyana. It is not easy. It's very, very difficult. Okay. And so I've always left the door open to these guys changing and to these guys doing better and improving. Okay. And I still to this day believe that they can improve and get better. And I know sometimes your audience gets mad at me when I say this, because they're like, no way, these guys are so bad. But I leave the door open for them, because the world needs a good Guyana. Okay. Period. And that's going to take more than just one party doing well. Both parties have to do well for the nation. Both parties have to do well. And that starts with eliminating the corruption. That begins with focusing on the people and providing proper education, providing proper social services, getting to the point where you're not allowing criminals to come into nations like America through a visa system or through a process where they can get government documents they shouldn't be getting their hands on. Guyana shouldn't be a place where people can smuggle gold, tons and tons and tons of gold going into the international markets, which I'm telling you funds terrorism. That's what it does. When gold is smuggled, it's going to terrorists. It's going to go to people who are going to kill innocent people. And so these are the things that they should be focused on. And it's going to take everyone, both parties, all the parties together to fix this and to clean it up. So with that said, I was saying, from my perspective, Guyana would probably do better with a Biden administration again, or with a Kamala Harris administration. Once Kamala Harris became a candidate. So, they probably do better with her. And the reason why I was saying that is not because I was thinking, that, the Biden administration is going to be tough on Jagdeo. That's what you would assume. No, it's because the Biden administration would leave the door open to the PPP, so having power and changing and getting better and having patience with them and allowing them to basically, lead while on the job and get rid of their corruption while on the job. Okay, I thought that would be better and it'd be a much easier road for the nation. But I knew that if a Trump administration would come in, things would change drastically in Guyana, okay? And the reason why is because Trump is going to bring in people like Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio doesn't play when it comes to Venezuela, when it comes to Cuba. He doesn't play these games, okay? And he knows the region. And I'm telling you, he's not going to play games with Jagdeo, man. These guys in the Trump administration will not play games with the PPP. It's going to get very serious, very fast. And if they don't tighten up and get it right, they're not going to be leading much longer, because we're not going to allow in our backyard a runaway train, Guyana, wrecking everybody in the region, allowing terrorism to spawn, allowing all kinds of gold to be smuggled out to fund terrorism all around the world. We're not going to allow that. And the Trump people are not going to allow it. Period. End of story. That's what the people of America voted for. Okay. They voted for an administration that will no longer play games, that's going to go out to these places that are creating instability, and any leaders who are doing it, and they're going to deal with them to knock it out and to end it all, because Americans are sick and tired of it all. So take heed, Guyana, take heed, Jagdeo, take heed the PPP. Okay, there will be a new sheriff in town. They will not be as patient. They're going to be very serious. And if you don't tighten up quick, things are going to change on you fast. Mark my words.
Things are gonna tighten up fast. Jagdeo, stop with the bluffing. The people have your records. They have lots and lots of dirty things on you. And why do you suppose that the CIA director, Mr. Burns, paid a visit and probably didn't even want to meet with Jagdeo? These are guys who have meat on Jagdeo. And so do not be worried, guys, about Jagdeo and his silly threats. It's called dotish threats. And he does these things whenever he's all dressed up and tucked in with, well, he doesn't have on a wig here, but surely his antics there will tell you that he has on maybe nail polish or whatever else. But at the end of the day, Jagdeo is bad news for Guyana. He's bad news for democracy. He's bad news for America. He's bad news for even the Trump administration. He's bad news for them. Someone who is anti-American, as Jagdeo is, he's definitely bad news for any administration in the United States. And Tom, you mentioned leave the door open. People have left the door open too long for Jagdeo. It's time that door is shut. And even if his hands have to be squeezed during the process, so be it. He has hurt a lot of people in Guyana. Thousands of people have been hurt in Guyana. Hundreds of people have been slaughtered under his government. He should have been in jail. Scores of people have been wrongfully incarcerated under his administration. Tons upon tons of cocaine shipped out under his administration. Money laundering galore under his administration. Tom, enough is enough of this brutal dictator. It's going to be a rough road ahead for Jagdeo and the PPP. And for those PPP supporters who are talking and embracing and say, oh, Trump is going to deport. The last time when Trump was in office, ICE agents were out in full. And they raided a lot of places in Richmond Hill, a lot of places in Queens. Those same folks have been complaining, have been crying, have been bawling. History has a way of repeating itself. Watch out, guys. Tom, thank you so much as always. I know you promised just a couple of minutes. We're not going to have you back on for the rest of the week, Tom. You have done us a great service. We appreciate it. On behalf of all those who are watching or listening, thank you so much, Tom, for what you do.
All right, everybody, have a good night. Really appreciate it.
And
take care.
Sorry, Tom. Thank you so much. And to all of our listeners as well, our viewers, wherever you are, thank you all so much. Someone said Melly Mel is on, and then after Melly Mel is on, Melly Mel dealing with some corruption, some car dealership corruption, and then Rickford Burke is on too. So it's a busy night for Jagdeo, a busy night for Sue, busy night for all of them. All of them. All right. Oops. The acting commissioner of police didn't say what's his relationship with this guy, murder suspect Mark Richmond. Still waiting on him to respond to that. But for now, we've got to go. God bless you. And keep an eye on Jagdeo. He's running scared. He's running very scared. Things would get worse for them. I'm out of here. See you all later. God bless. What's going to happen in Guyana? What is it? We've got to keep the conversation going. I'm out of here, guys.
Today, I'd like to talk about the harm and disastrous impact the current Vice President of Guyana, Jagdeo, has brought upon the people of Guyana. Everything he has done has been for his own benefit, never thinking about the well-being of the people or taking any action to improve their lives. Instead of helping the common people live a decent life, he has abused his power from 1999 to 2024 to embezzle at least billions of dollars of public funds, possibly even more. The ordinary people have suffered from unfair treatment and a disastrous quality of life because of him. He's a truly corrupt and evil person, using his special status to commit countless harmful acts against Guyana, all for his own gain. He even has a massive fortune in China, worth billions of dollars, all taken from the people's wealth. Today, I hope everyone becomes aware of his corruption. Let's come together, unite, and help the people of Guyana start a new chapter for a better future.
今天想跟大家一起了解现在的圭亚那副总统巴拉特贾格迪奥所对圭亚那人民带来的伤害跟灾难性的造成。他所做的一切都是为了自己的利益，从来没有为圭亚那百姓着想，或者做出任何能让百姓生活变得更好的事，让平民百姓过上应该有的生活。他凭着自己执政的权力，从1999到2024贪污至少数十亿美金或更多百姓的财产。他让平民百姓受到了非常不公平的待遇跟灾难性的生活。他是个非常邪恶的人，用着自己的特别身份，做着对圭亚那无数伤害的事件，只为了自己的利益。他在中国还有一笔巨额全额高达数十亿美元，都来自于百姓的财产。今天希望大家都能看到或听到他的腐败的一面，让我们一起团结一心，让圭亚那的人民重新开始美好的未来。
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Zhurong?
So, my relationship?
今天想跟大家一起了解现在的圭亚那副总统巴拉特贾格迪奥所对圭亚那人民带来的伤害跟灾难性的造成。他所做的一切都是为了自己的利益，从来没有为圭亚那百姓着想，或者做出任何能让百姓生活变得更好的事，让平民百姓过上应该有的生活。他凭着自己执政的权力，从1999到2024贪污至少数十亿美金或更多百姓的财产。他让平民百姓受到了非常不公平的待遇跟灾难性的生活。他是个非常邪恶的人，用着自己的特别身份，做着对圭亚那无数伤害的事件，只为了自己的利益。他在中国还有一笔巨额全额高达数十亿美元，都来自于百姓的财产。今天希望大家都能看到或听到他的腐败的一面，让我们一起团结一心，让圭亚那的人民重新开始。
内存自己，天涯若比邻。So it is actually my distinct pleasure and honor to actually meet you in Shizhou. I think it's destiny. You have made a lot of miracles and you've saved lots of lives during your tenure in Guyana. That distance has not prevented the hearts of our two people from being together and the friendship between our two countries.
Today, I'd like to talk about the harm and disastrous impact the current Vice President of Guyana, Jagdeo, has brought upon the people of Guyana. Everything he has done has been for his own benefit, never thinking about the well-being of the people or taking any action to improve their lives. Instead of helping the common people live a decent life, he has abused his power from 1999 to 2024 to embezzle at least billions of dollars of public funds, possibly even more. The ordinary people have suffered from unfair treatment and a disastrous quality of life because of him. He's a truly corrupt and evil person, using his special status to commit countless harmful acts against Guyana, all for his own gain. He even has a massive fortune in China, worth billions of dollars, all taken from the people's wealth. Today, I hope everyone becomes aware of his corruption. Let's come together, unite, and help the people of Guyana start a new chapter for a better future.
I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public base, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. They don't drive no fear with the citizen. They may want the people speak out. Freedom of speech done gone inside the gutter. Knock off when you open your mouth. Discrimination in entertainment, and you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barrett and Sue. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up on the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look with the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up.
Yeah, my name is Jacinti Caldata from Vietnam. And since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.